In this video presentation, we are going to say about the security management in the software development with the help of the software development lifecycle. The computer software security has become a major issue and needs to be considered after 1980s by the development of the World Wide Web. So the software production is based fully depend on the internet as well as which is developed to interact the computer devices in order to enhance the human life. So the software needs to be contain some critical information which can be a credential for the personal users, as well as it need to be a high secure protected as well. So in this slide, this is we covered from the CERT, which is Computer Emergency Readiness Team. They are main functionality in order to protect the computer threats, in order to provide the necessary security requirements for the software product. In this assignment, they are graphed. That means they are given the statistical analysis report based on the vulnerabilities reported by the softwares in 2010 to 2016. The major thing is why these vulnerabilities are growing and reported frequently is the poor coding of the developers, as well as the lack of software testing and lack of software monitoring and maintenance. So CERT is an organization which is having an overview on the software vulnerabilities, as well as it's providing its guidelines in order to provide the software developers to create a secure software development, as well as the CERT, Computer Emergency Readiness Team, OAPS, that means Open Web Application Security Project Team, is also providing necessary guidelines in order to provide security guidelines to produce secure software development. The secure software development is most important, which I have said before, because the softwares are created in order to enhance our day-to-day life, and they are contain some credential and critical information based on the users. So in these slides, we are going to see the security measures with the software development lifecycle. So the thing is, in traditional way of software development, we are having a security procedures in the testing phase only. The thing is, we are developing and we are coded the software, and after that only we are testing the security in the testing phase. That may cost a double charge, that may double cost for the software development in order to provide extra security checking as well. So in order to avoid the cost and in order to provide a high security, we need to add the security functionalities with the software development lifecycle. So in the first stage, we are going to see about the requirement gathering. In the requirement gathering phase, what is the first thing what is requirement gathering phase in the system software development lifecycle? The thing is, we are gathering what are the requirements needed for the software in order to develop. But when it's come to the secure software development lifecycle, we are mainly focusing on the third-party dependencies. Third-party dependencies are the plugins that we are using in order to provide some extra facilities into our software developments. For an example, if our product needs to be sent an email, we are need to contain an email plugin we are need to attach with our software. So the thing is, before using these plugins, we have need to check it before, and we have need to get some permissions from the engineering management group, because the plugins can have some vulnerabilities. So in the approval process, the management team are doing these kinds of process, that is checking compatibility with the software application, whether the functionality which is carried by this plugin is able to handled by this application. The functionality requirements are covered by this library or a dependency. That means this plugin what we are using can able to adjust our requirement as well as the security. In this security management, we are mainly considering this security as our part in order to provide the security. You can see this is a national vulnerability database. Here, this is how the security management team is analyzing this plugin is vulnerable or not. They need to check the plugin whether it's having some vulnerability contents. So this is one example, is a national vulnerability database which contains the latest vulnerability details in order to say to the developers to be aware of that plugins. So this is some screenshot I have taken from the national vulnerability database. This is how they are saying the latest scored values. That means these are some latestly introduced vulnerabilities, and as well as they can provide some vulnerability details such as common vulnerability exposure, number of the vulnerability, and when it's exploited, and details of this one and its conditions, that is a critical or normal as well for the software developers. So the thing is, when we are using the plugins in our software, we need to be manually check this from the National Vulnerability Database whether our plugins are having some vulnerabilities as well. So this kind of checks can be done by some automated tools such as this OAPS dependency check. This is also OAPS is also an organization which I have mentioned. They are having some key in providing security on the software development. This tool is a command line tool. That means it can be run with the coding only. So these kinds of tools provide automated facilities to check the plugins with whether they are having the new vulnerabilities or not. The thing is, what we do whether our plugin is having vulnerabilities. So first thing, our plugin is having vulnerability, we need to search another alternative plugin in order to adjust that functionality. The next thing is, if the functionality, that means that function can be provided only by the dependency, then we need to go for a deep analysis whether the plugin's functionality is having vulnerability for us or not. That means a plugin can contain many functionalities. For an example, email can contain receiving function as well as sending emails functions. So if the vulnerability in sending email function is vulnerable, but our software is only using for the incoming, to get the income mails, so we are not affected by the outgoing mails having vulnerability. So the thing is, we need to go a deep analysis to check our plugins functionality each by each, whether they are having the vulnerabilities and whether that functionality is affecting our software. If that's so, then we need to have some modifications inside that code. That means we don't have any opportunities, or we don't have any options to move to other thing, but we need to modify the code and to make it as secure. So the next is in designing. So designing is a phase which we are just creating an actions to fulfill our requirements which we have gathered previously. So in this case, we are mainly focusing on these things: confidentiality, integrity, availability, authentication, authorization, accounting, and auditing. These 5 A's are mentioned as here. The thing is, what is the confidentiality? Confidentiality as normally is the unauthorized disclosure of the data. The unauthorized disclosure means anyone can't see the data. That means the confidentiality must be provided here. So the thing is, how the software can be provide the confidentiality to the software system is by providing the cryptographic function. The encryption decryption functions can be provide this confidentiality to the software. So it can be done by the public key infrastructure as well as by creating the access control list matrix who can allow to access the source, as well as what are the functions that can be accessed by the different type of users such as user, guest, admin as well. The integrity is, what is the integrity means? It's an unauthorized modification of data. That means it cannot be edited, deleted or updated. This kind of information security can be provided by providing the cryptographic function, that is the hashing method, one way of encrypting. Especially our data are stored in our relational database management system, and the database must be properly designed with the proper management and proper security along with the normalization techniques as well. So these 5 ways: availability, authentication, authorization, accounting and auditing. But when we are considering the attack, only attackers are focusing on one of them, not considering the all. For an example, distributed denial of service. As usual, the famous attack done by the attackers is mainly focusing on the availability. That's providing the traffic towards the system and making our system jam. So this availability can be misused. That means it cannot be available to the software by the DDoS attack. In order to provide that security, the softwares need to have some intrusion prevention system and intrusion detection system within them itself. The next thing is something critical one, and it's a huge part in order to consider security. So this is the development process where the coding part of the software taking over by the programmers, network engineers and web developers. This is some threats. That means when we are writing the codes, we need to consider some vulnerabilities as well. So the weakened codes, that means as previously said, what's the risk we are having, that's all, what is the reasons of the software vulnerability reporting is the poor coding. So this thing can carry the 75% of the software attacks. So this I taken from the OWASP top 10 list, and the reason is we need to cover in order to provide this security by the coding. These are some well-known attacks. These are listed in ascending order by the Open Web Application Security Project team, and we need to consider that the code should not be vulnerable for those attacks. So these mitigation parts also provided by the OWASP top 10. They are providing how to write the secure code in order to prevent this kind of things. But in the coding session, they are not completely provide security based on this software coded with this security measures. But the thing is, we are able to check the third-party dependencies again. Because of the reason is, when we are asking our software platform security team in order to get approval to use a new plugin or dependency, but this development or coding part will be done after 3 months. So within that period, there can be a new vulnerable arising to that plugin. So in order to have the check, that means oftenly we need to have the third-party dependency check in order to provide the security for our software. And the next thing is, this can be done by the static code analysis. Static code analysis means it's a plugin kind of tool which can be inbuilt to our software IDEs, which can automatically check whether this code is having a vulnerability when we are typing the code, or else this can be developed in the central server of our software development teams. That means our software company is maintaining its own plugin in a central database, so it's easy to have a check each and every day by automated codings. So the next thing is software testing. This will be
so in here I'm going to talk about the testing phase and deployment phase and maintenance phase. In this testing phase, we need to check whether the software is working according to the user requirements or not. But the security of a software, dynamic analysis is the main part of it. So here, what is and why is a dynamic analysis? The dynamic analysis analyzes what is happening behind the scenes, and that in the code while the software is running. This is useful to identify what are the memory leaks and what are the vulnerabilities of the software. So we have to security test plan for this. So the two steps for the security test planning. The first one is standard functional testing techniques. There are so many tools to do the dynamic analysis. Here I am going to talk about the OWASP security scanner. It is open source security scanner for building the security applications. This tool provides a set of tools to find the security holes of the software. So example of these technologies are penetration testing and code review. So in testing phase, we have to do the testing before the deployment, because it will cost, you can see it will cost, it will more expensive if we do the testing part at the end. So I'm going to now deployment phase. Deployment is releasing the software to the customer. When it comes to the deployment, static and dynamic analysis should be done. After that, all the security reports should be submitted to the platform security team. After they confirm, the deployment will be done. So then the maintenance phase. So maintenance is any modification which is done to the system after the there are few reasons for the maintenance. The first one is changing the requirements. If the user want to change after a long time, the user want to change their requirements, the maintenance should be done. The next one is changing the functional flow, and because of the sometimes they need to change the functionalities of the software, so they are going to do the maintenance for that. And the next one is because of the complaint from the user about the security hole in the application. Most of the time the development team release a patch for this. Here you can see this is the security patches which was released by the Microsoft team. Because of there are some vulnerabilities of the software, and that's why they are releasing these kind of security patches. So here I am going to hand over the presentation to the bench.
The final is the summary part of our presentation based on our review paper. These are our suggestions which we can make to have a secure software development. The first one is having secure software development lifecycle when developing a software. That means each and every phases we can have the security measures in order to avoid the cost as well as the high performance of the security to the software. Second one is provide awareness of the security to the developers, because according to the guidelines that there are some organizations which are openly providing the security facilities to protect the softwares. So, but the developers needs to be up to date with this new security vulnerabilities as well as new methods of coding. So the software companies needs to aware the software developers in order to create a good secure software development. Developer companies need to have separate platform security team in order to scan their products vulnerabilities. Because the reason is, when a software companies release the product, they have the responsibility in order to maintain the product securely. So the software companies need to have a good platform security team in order to check their vulnerabilities inside the software, and they need to release the new patches in order to protect the real clients who are using the software. The second one is the companies need to have a suitable way to report their vulnerabilities to them. If a software company, they are developing a software and releasing for the customers, but they need to have some way to communicate with the companies in order to report the vulnerability of the software. The thing is, another thing I have need to say manually, it's better to have a centralized database in order to automate all the system procedures, all the secure system procedures automatically. For an example, a Jenkins server. A Jenkins server is fully coded in the Java and it's run based on the automated codings. That is, it's run according to the machine learning. That means all the software companies are centrally having some plugins and database in order to use for further usage. So that plugins need to be if the plugins are protected, then half of the problems can be avoided. So the companies needs to have a centralized database with automated machine learning facilities in order to check the vulnerabilities and update them as usual. So I hope this video presentation will help you to have a clear idea on the secure software development in order with the software development life cycle in order to produce a good secure software product. Thank you.